Hey, how are we going? I hope you're having a freaking amazing day wherever you are. Today has been such an awesome day for myself. Let me know if you jump on, tell me if you're watching the replay so I know who's watching. I'm just going to share this. And then I just want to share something that's been on my mind, on my heart quite a bit today. And actually not just today, but recently, around being embarrassed or ashamed of who you are and how you feel. Because the reason I really want to talk about this is because I feel that often we can have embarrassment about who we are, or we can feel as though we're feeling a way which we shouldn't feel. And one of the things, here we go. Okay. One of the issues with this, hey gorgeous. Yay, I'm glad. I don't know why you're awake. I totally thought you were in London, so I guess I totally got where you live wrong. You must be in Canada. Maybe you're in Canada. Anyway, tell me where you live. But the reason I really want to talk about this is because it's something that I myself used to really struggle with, but also a lot of women who work with me have struggled with this too. And I feel like, especially if you've done a lot of work, cool, it is in Canada, awesome. Especially if you've done a lot of work around, like if you're really interested in personal development, this can be something that comes up for you a bit too. Because, you know, if you've done a bit of work in personal development, or if you're someone who considers themselves conscious, right? One of the problems with this kind of perspective or this attitude is that because I'm conscious, because I'm aware, because I'm owning all that I feel, if I'm feeling something or if something's coming up for me, it's not okay. Or like if I'm feeling this, or for example, if I get triggered by something, it's not okay and like I've got more work to do. Or if something's making me feel like unloved or not good enough or unworthy, like shit, this is really bad and like I shouldn't be feeling these things, let me fix these things, let me not show the other person how I'm feeling right now because I should have my shit more together by now, or I should not be feeling that way, or because I'm doing all this personal development stuff, if I'm getting triggered, I better go and do some more work. And I feel like especially when we've got this perspective, we can have this idea that the goal is to do all your work and then meet someone, or do all your work and then go out into the world. Your goal is to kind of be this person who's never triggered by anything and has all her shit together and like knows what she's doing all the time and like is so freaking confident in who you are. And the thing is, I kind of want to say that it's a bit of an illusion. And what I mean by that, like, you know, confidence, you know, I'm always going on about being confident. I'm always going on about owning who you are. But what I really want to encourage you to recognize is that we don't become confident by listing all the parts of us we don't like and then going and fixing them up. We don't become confident by identifying every trigger or everything that annoys us and like going through them all and changing all our beliefs and making sure we're not going to feel that again, right? It's not how we get our confidence muscle up. We don't fix ourselves so then we're confident so we're good enough, right? The thing is, this idea of fear or embarrassment of like feeling vulnerable or feeling like a bit like, or feeling a bit uncomfortable sharing parts of you is a very common and normal thing, right? Like if you're sharing something that's really close and personal to you, like it's common to kind of feel a bit like, oh, am I saying too much? Am I doing this? Especially if you've kind of grown up and you've learned that you shouldn't be sharing what's coming up for you, or you shouldn't be feeling a lot, right? I definitely feel like I grew up in a house which encouraged, like if I was upset, it was like, no, like everything's good, like let's be happy now, right? And so I was really discouraged about feeling things too strongly. And so therefore, I know when I like was really dating, I didn't want to really share too much because I didn't want to like burden people with how I felt, right? Or I didn't want to, I had this idea of I'm going to go and fix myself, or I'm going to go and be really perfect, or I'm going to go and become the best person, become the perfect person, become the best version of myself. And then I'll show up for Then I'll show up in the world as the best version of myself and manifest a great partner. Well, I wasn't really talking in terms of law of attraction, but I'll find a great partner who's a match to the best version of myself. But what I was really trying to do, instead of become the best version of myself, instead of falling in love with myself, I was trying to pick the qualities that I should be having, right? So I thought, like a really good person would be adventurous. So let me go and try and be quite adventurous. And so what I was doing was trying to be everything I thought the other person would want from me in order to have a great partner, right? And I thought to myself, if I fixed myself enough, say hi as you jump on, by the way, if I fixed myself enough, if I kind of like changed my personality enough, if I just made these tweaks here and there, then eventually I would be a person who is okay to be in the world, who's okay to be seen, who's okay to be heard, who's okay to feel what she feels. Except it didn't really work. Like my whole perspective was everything that I'm currently experiencing isn't okay. Everywhere I currently am in my life isn't okay. Like a lot of women come to me and they share that they really want to fall in love, but they say, I'm really worried because my finances aren't good yet, or I don't have this job yet, and da-da-da. And what they're really saying is, underneath that all is, I'm not good enough yet. And the thing is, you're never going to be there. And what I mean by this, if you're the person who's saying, like, I need to get a good job and then I'll meet the man, you'll get the job and then you'll say, oh, but I want to buy the house first. I've got the job, now I need the house. And you'll constantly push it out, right? You'll constantly say, let me just be a bit better. Let me be a bit better. Let me be a bit better. And in fact, if this is how you're viewing things, if you're thinking, let me just like stop being so awkward, or let me stop getting so triggered by things and then I'll meet the love of my life, it's not how things work, right? It's not about becoming someone who's worthy of having love. It's not about changing parts of your personality so you're worthy of having love. It's not about hiding bits of you so you're worthy of having love. It's acknowledging that, hey, like, I'm afraid to be seen. I'm feeling this is awkward. I've never let this person see me. I've never really thought it's okay. And it's okay and it's perfectly normal for me to feel this way. And even though I feel afraid to share how I feel, even though it feels weird, it feels uncomfortable, even though I've told myself I shouldn't be feeling this, I should be working on this, I'm still going to step forward and speak my truth. I'm going to choose to share what's on my mind. I'm going to choose to show up and be me, even if it's awkward, even if it's embarrassing, even if I feel as though people won't get it, right? It's not like I've got to come to terms with this is okay to be this and then I'm going to do it. I'm going to accept that I'm going to feel nervous no matter when I do it. I'm going to accept that I'm going to feel a bit out of place when I do it. I'm going to accept that I'm going to feel vulnerable when I share my feelings. I'm going to accept that maybe I feel like I shouldn't be feeling this way, but I'm still going to feel it. I'm still going to feel it. I'm still going to share it. And I don't need to change it, right? We grow not by fixing ourselves. We grow by being in the world. We grow by showing up in the world and sharing who we are. Right? You don't become confident by talking yourself over and over and over and convincing yourself that you're all great and you're all well and then showing up in the world and you're all fixed and then you show up. You become confident, you start to love yourself, you start to believe in yourself when you show up being the person you are right now, when you think you're not good enough and you show up and you realize it's not that bad. Like that's it, right? You show up and you recognize that it actually doesn't matter how this goes. You show up and you go, I'm going to share this, even though I feel really vulnerable and they could reject me and they could be like, that's so weird, but it's still my truth. It's still what's on my heart. It's still how I'm feeling right now. So even though I'm feeling awkward, even though I'm feeling embarrassed, even though I'm feeling ashamed, I'm going to show up, I'm going to share. And the thing is, if that person in front of you who you've just shared what's on your heart with them says to you, that's awkward, that's embarrassing, you go, okay. And then you go share it with someone else. And then you go share it with someone else. And you go share it with someone else. You don't take on their perspective of it being awkward and embarrassing and then go and hide away for the next 20 years, right? Because all you're saying then is there are parts of you that are awkward and embarrassing. There are always going to be people who aren't your people. There are always going to be people who think you're weird, right? Exactly, Shannon. There's always going to be people who are not going to be okay with your vulnerability. There are always going to be people... Thanks, gorgeous cat. There are always going to be people who aren't okay with you doing what you do. There are always going to be people who think you're fucking weird. There are always going to be people who think like that what you do wasn't okay. And guess what? Who cares? They're not your people, right? And the thing is, just because somebody has a problem with who you are in the world doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Not everyone's your people. Not everyone's here to really love you. And not everyone's going to like you even, right? And okay, the thing is, Shannon, if you're showing up and you're being yourself, if you're showing up and you're saying, this is who I am and this is how I do things, and someone goes, if someone responds and says, I don't accept that, you just say, I totally get that, but I'm not going to stop being me. So that's totally fine that you're like that, but I'm not gonna change for you, right? I'm not gonna change for you. That's totally fine. You're allowed to be that way. You're allowed to feel that way. You're allowed to live life that way. That's so fine that you see that this way. You know, show up. Like, the thing is, our job on this planet is to be so us, to share our truth so much that anyone who can't handle it, anyone who doesn't like it, anyone who thinks they're too weird or too this or too that, will leave. And the thing is, when you get to the point of saying, I'm choosing me, and I'm going to choose to share my truth, and I'm going to choose to share what's going on for me, and I'm going to choose to what feels aligned and what feels good, regardless of what people say, regardless of what people think, that is true freedom. But let me be clear, it takes a while to get there, and it takes you going and being in situations where you go, oh, I don't know how this is going to go, or I don't know what people are going to say to this, and you go, oh yeah, that was cool. You know, you don't need to do all the work. You don't need to get yourself fully ready. You know, I feel like a lot of women, when it comes to love, when it comes to dating, say, I'm not going to date because I'm working on myself right now. Dating, interacting with men, talking to people you don't know is the best place to work on yourself. Going on a date with a guy who you've never met in your life and talking to him and leaving and he doesn't want to see you again, be like, yeah, who cares? Like, I literally don't even know you. Cool, who gives a shit, right? Going out on a date and talking about stuff like, the last few first dates I've been on, we'll take Ben out of this, I would just like rock up and talk about manifesting and spirituality and all this shit, because frankly, you may be like, Emma, that's so weird, or that's so, they may not get it. I don't give a fuck. If I'm talking to a guy on a date and he thinks I'm weird, I'm talking about manifesting, and he thinks it's crazy, or he doesn't like any single thing that I do, there's a door. Like, we don't have to be talking right now. You can just leave, and that's totally fine. I don't care, because I'm never going to choose you over me. Right? You've always got to choose you, you know, and this is the thing. When you're with the right person, you can share what's on your heart. You can share what's going on for you. You can share, oh, babe, I'm worried about this. You can share this. And they don't turn to you and go, what is wrong with you? Why do you feel that way? You're so screwed up. You're so messed up. You're so weird. They go, tell me more. They go, tell me more. And I feel like we're often so conditioned that we shouldn't feel things, or we shouldn't do things, or we need to be a certain way. Maybe your parents have told you need to be a certain way. Like, I definitely know I learned so early on that I couldn't express too much emotion. And one of the emotions I've had like a really interesting journey with is anger, right? And I feel like a lot of you on this can relate to this. I'm just feeling this, so I'm going to share this with you guys. Like, I always felt like, growing up, I didn't experience a lot of anger, as in my parents, like my mum, like hardly ever got angry. Like, she was very calm. And so I never really saw people fighting, or I never saw people like yelling at each other or anything. And so I had this kind of idea in my mind that anger was a really bad emotion, or like you shouldn't be angry and you shouldn't get angry towards people, because it was like a sign of being out of control and a sign of like not really being able to control your emotions. And it was just bad. I thought anger was bad. And the thing is, what I realized actually not too long ago, only like in the past 6 months, like if we think about the emotional scale, right? If we think about the emotional scale, so here's neutral, and above neutral is like all the positive emotions, like appreciation and joy and peace and bliss and all those great things. Then you've got neutral, and then anger's not too far under neutral, right? Like, it's on the negative side, but it's not too far under. And then down the bottom, you've got like blame and shame and guilt and all these. Like, well, no, you've got anger, blame, anger, shame, guilt, right? But the thing is, what I kind of realized was that because I had this weird relationship with anger, where I didn't think anger was acceptable, whenever I felt anger, I judged myself for feeling my anger and I blocked it off, so I dropped down lower. So instead of feeling anger, which in my eyes, if I'm feeling kind of, if something happens and it makes me feel a response of anger, it's kind of, it's a better emotion for us than guilt and shame, right? Because let me give you an example. For example, right now, if someone messaged me and said, Emma, you're such a bitch. So if I checked my phone and I got this message saying, Emma, you're such a bitch. If I suddenly go, what? And like, I go, what? Like, this is ridiculous. Who is this? Even though, yes, you can tell I'm feeling really uncomfortable right here, right now, I'm a bit like, where has this come from? This isn't mine if I'm angry. But if I say, well, I can't feel anger, I can't be angry at this person, I can't feel any negative emotion towards them, suddenly them saying, Emma, you're a bitch, I'm saying, why am I a bitch? Oh gosh, what have I done? And I drop down straight into guilt and shame. And actually, that comment that someone makes actually lands so much deeper for me because I take it all on personally. So what I've actually realized in the past 6 months is anger can actually be a bit of a shield. And so when we often say that something we're feeling is bad, when we say that anger is bad, when we say that us reacting to things in a certain way is bad, and if you've got that kind of relationship to anger, like I know my partner has too, like he's always said to me, he's like, anger's a wasted emotion, because that's how he's, you know, he's grown up too. And I've been sharing with him recently, I was like, hold up, if we're saying anger's wasted emotion and we're saying we shouldn't feel angry, everything anyone does to us or any way someone behaves, if we're blocked off all these middle sections of emotions, straight away we're like a sponge taking on people's shit. And we're asking ourselves, well, what's wrong with us? And that's actually more unhealthy than just being a bit angry for 10 minutes and chucking someone else back their shit, right? And so I share this with you to help you really just think to yourself, like, where are you telling yourself you can't feel things? Where are you holding things back? Like recently, there's been a few times recently, I found myself being furious, like so angry, like really like feeling anger going through my body. And this is so abnormal. Me of even a year ago, I would never, like every 3 years maybe, I wouldn't get angry. I wouldn't ever get angry. I'd just take everything on. If something would happen, I'd go shame, guilt. And so recently when something's happened, I've just felt myself like pulsating with anger. I was out for coffee actually with Ben probably about a month ago, and I was so mad. And I was just sitting there, I was like, for fuck's sake, rah, 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 rah. And he was just like, yeah, babe, you're allowed to be angry, yeah. And I said to him after, I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I was so pissed off, because the old me would have taken it on. The old me would have been like, why have they done that? Why have they done that? What is wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. I'm screwing up. Like, they're only doing that because something's wrong with me. But what I was actually doing was saying, no, this is actually fucking bullshit. This is not okay, and I'm not taking this on. It's not to do with me. And so expressing myself that way made me feel so much better about myself than it would have in the past, right? And so the thing is, what I want you to recognize is that our emotions are here to tell us things. Right? Our emotions are here because we're working through things. And the fact is, girls, so many of you who are going to be watching this are females. We are emotional beings. Okay? We are emotional beings, and we just stop trying to be men. We just stop trying to be men who, you know, men are like considered like not feeling much, right? Which that's a whole nother ballgame. Men should be able to feel their emotions, definitely, right? But we're not men. There are times in the month when we feel emotional. There are times in the month when we feel like stressed. There are times in the month when we feel like we have less energy. There are times in the month when we feel more energized. There are times in the month when we feel like excited and happy and alive. There are times in the month when we feel horrible. That's okay, right? And I just know in the past I was always like, oh, I can't be too emotional. I can't be this and I can't be this. Yes, you fucking can. You can feel something. You can feel something and go, oh, right now I'm really feeling this, right? It's like allowing yourself to feel what you feel. And I want to, heard her say a strange noise. It's so important that we're owning how we feel. All right. Now, it doesn't mean we're necessarily pushing on it to everyone else. It's not as if we're like, you can say you can express feeling anger. You can say to your partner, I'm feeling this anger really strongly, without saying you're an asshole for making me angry, right? We can be conscious with how we're expressing how we feel, but we can still express how we feel, right? It's so important to recognize this. This is my message. It's so important to recognize that you're allowed to feel how you feel. It's so important to recognize this. And the thing is, when we're really starting to have a relationship with ourselves and how we feel, when we're allowing ourselves to be heard all of the time in ourselves, not necessarily in our relationships, not necessarily like with our partner, but like just with ourselves, you're going to notice that your emotions aren't going to feel out of control, right? They're not going to feel as though, you're not going to find yourself always like going, and like lashing out all the time. Because, you know, if you've got this kind of relationship where your emotions, where you're kind of feeling like good 1 minute, and then like a few times a week you just lash out, it's probably because you're not allowing yourself a normal time, like, what am I saying, a regular time. You're not regularly sitting down and really addressing your emotions, right? You're not regularly sitting down and saying, actually, what's going on for me? Because the thing is, you know, so many of us have been taught, like, let's just bottle it down and hide, and let's pretend we don't have emotions, and let's pretend we don't really care. And the thing is, if you're doing that, especially if you're not letting yourself experience emotions like anger and stuff, you'll just suddenly, you'll be like building up a lot of shame and a lot of blame and a lot of guilt inside you. And you'll kind of be like, what am I saying? Something waiting to explode, right? And so it's so important. And I feel like, especially if you're really into manifesting, especially if you're really into creating a reality and you're all about how do I feel, what am I creating, you can really like dive into how you feel with yourself, and you can work through it and you can process it, and you're going to be able to manifest better if you are doing that, right? I definitely know with me and a lot of my clients in the past, when I was feeling like slightly off, I just like, no, Emma, feel good, like ignore it, no, I don't need to touch that, But actually, like, when I led into that, and when I was like, hey, what's going on for me? And I really gave myself the space to really listen and to hear it and let it speak, it cleared it out, and I kind of felt a sense of freedom. Even today, here we go, I'll give you a good example of this. Today, I've been thinking about myself, like where I want to go, where's my next step for business, and da-da-da. And I felt like stress, like I felt like a tightness in my chest, and I just didn't feel that good. And I was like, this is really weird. Like, why am I feeling so much resistance? Why am I feeling a bit like, and like tired and panicky? And so, you know, I started journaling. I was like, what's coming up for me? Why am I feeling a lot of stress over the goals I'd set myself in my business? And what really came up was that I feel a lot of pressure. I feel a lot of pressure to be really successful in my business, because I know in a few years I'm going to have children, and I want to have a successful business when I have children, because I want to feel as though I can, like, I'm adding to the family. I want to feel like I'm contributing. I want to feel like this. And I was like, really, I kind of went down a bit of a deep hole here, which I didn't realize I had like a lot of stress in that area until I really dove into it. And I was like, what was coming up was like, I feel tension to be successful, and to like, I feel like tension, my flatmate's going, I feel tension to kind of, to be really successful and to reach these goals really, really quickly, because if I didn't, then when I have children, like, what's going to happen? Like, am I going to be failing if I'm not working? And all this stuff kind of came up for me. It was really, really interesting. And so, you know, I like sat with myself and I was like, well, what do I desire? Like, what do I want to do? How do I feel about this? And I was like, well, I do want to like keep doing my business when I'm having children and stuff. But then I was like, okay, well, how do I feel if I wasn't going to do that? Like, how do I feel if I wasn't going to be contributing? How do I feel about that? And like a bit of like resistance, like, oh gosh, like, oh no, like, what am I going to be contributing? Like, what impact am I going to have? Like, oh no, like, what would it be like if I wasn't going to be providing something? What would, you know, and this bit of like fear came up inside me. And it kind of was really interesting for me to acknowledge how I had a bit of fear around not contributing anything financially, especially probably because my mum has worked my whole life, right? So she was never like, oh, wait a minute. No, probably when I was very young, she was at home, but she was working. Oh, my dad left when I was 4, so definitely from when I was 4 onwards, she was working. And so, and therefore, I think I just had like this idea that like I would always need to be contributing in some sense. Anyway, so I recognized it, and I recognized it was making me feel off and a bit funny. And so I like sat and I journaled around this. I was like, well, what happens if I just decided it's okay if I do choose that? What happens if I'm fully okay with potentially being a stay-at-home mum too? Like, how do I feel about that? And just softening any resistance around that. And I actually text Ben and I was like, hey babe, how would you feel if I was like a stay-at-home mum? When we had babies in a couple of years. And he's like, I don't know, babe, do whatever works for you, hun. Like, I fully support you. You've got to do what's right for you. And it was really cool because like straight then, like even like addressing what had been coming up and what was making me feel resistance, the whole thing just went. Right? But the thing is, if I hadn't dived into that, if I hadn't kind of been like, hold up, I feel slightly off right now. What's going on for me? Why is that coming up? What do I believe here? What's worrying me? What's concerning me? That would still have been like sitting in the background. And sure, I could have been like, yeah, let's feel good and let's just ignore that and everything's fine, everything's great. But that thing would have stayed there and kept like staying there in the background until I really allowed myself to hear it and allowed myself to address it. And so therefore, you know, I often think that it's not like yes, it's about how you feel, but it's the things that you're unwilling to face. It's the things you're unwilling to really look into the eyes of and say, what's this actually saying to me? What's this really letting me know? What's this, what's coming up for me? They're those things that sit in the background that actually make us feel pretty shitty. They're those things that sit in the background that we're ashamed of, that we haven't actually even spoken out loud, or we haven't even written down and haven't even admitted to ourselves that we're feeling. And therefore they're those things that really, they affect us, right? Because it's the things that you don't feel like it's okay for you to say, that you feel it's embarrassing if you say them out loud, or you're going to be ashamed if you say them out loud. They're the things that you think are wrong with you. And they're the things that you need to be saying. You need to recognize it's okay to feel worried. It's okay to feel stressed. It's okay to feel concerned. It's okay to have negative emotion, right? And the thing is, one of the biggest blockers, one of the biggest things that makes you feel unworthy and not good enough is when you feel like you shouldn't be feeling what you're feeling. When you're saying, oh, I'm feeling negative right now, but that's no good and I should have worked on that. How dare I feel negative emotion? How dare they make me feel this way? I should be more conscious. I should be so, like, I shouldn't be triggered as much. Like, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't feel this. And holding on to that shame around what you're feeling is causing more shame than even the feeling in itself, right? And so the thing is, what I really just want to share is that everything you're feeling, everything you're experiencing, own it. This is what's going on for me, right? You don't need, when you pretend it's not there, when you pretend there are parts of you that aren't there, you're rejecting yourself. You're saying this, I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be into this stuff. But when you own it, when you step forward and say, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is how I feel. Right? The right people are going to freaking love you for it. The right people are going to be around you. The wrong people are going to quickly walk out of your life. And that's good, right? Because wouldn't it feel amazing if you could be who you are and say how you feel all day, every day, and everyone around you loves it? Everyone around you is totally happy with you being who you are. Everyone around you thinks you're freaking awesome. Everyone around you accepts you. But it starts with you taking that step forward. It's you feeling that fear and stepping forward and saying that shit anyway and doing that shit anyway, you know? And so where are you not being yourself? Where are you not talking like about how you really feel? Where are you not doing what you really want to do because you're too embarrassed or you're too ashamed? Right? Because the right person, like literally, I just know I could message Ben anything right now. Like, I'm feeling anything or I'm gonna do anything, and he'll be like, okay, babe, I love you. Like, because he loves me, right? And this is the kind of relationships we're meant to have, where we're fully being ourselves, we're being fully expressed, we're sharing our truth, we're doing whatever we want. And our partner's like, okay, baby, I love you, right? Because we're being ourselves. We want that freedom. And when you be yourself, you give your partner the same freedom. And relationships are amazing, and life is amazing, and everyone accepts you. But it starts with you. You're going to feel embarrassed. You're going to feel awkward. You're going to feel vulnerable. Fucking do the goddamn thing anyway. Those feelings aren't going to go away until you don't care about people not liking it, right? You're the only person who needs to like it. You're the only person who's got to like you. You're the only person who's got to show up and do it. And you do it for a couple of days, and then you'll be like, oh, that was easy. Now I don't care. Now they can say whatever they want, right? And you're free. you know? Don't let those feelings hold you back. Just show up and do it anyway. Have a beautiful day, guys. No matter where you are, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns in the box. I hold back anger, and also if I was holding back love and affection times. I get that, Shannon. I get that. And that's really common, especially I totally get that about holding back love. I know I've like shared about me telling Ben I love him story. That was fun. Like when I got drunk because I had 2 glasses of wine. I was taking pills I wasn't meant to drink on. Had no idea I wasn't meant to drink. Had some wine. Said to Ben, we've been dating like, I don't know, 8-9 weeks. And I was like, you don't need to say anything, but I like really love you. Totally inappropriate. I was totally wasted. Half an hour later, I was like vomiting and peeing and farting on my lawn at home. Yep. As he held my hair back and he'd just been telling me he loved me and stuff. And so the thing is, yeah, I loved him. Yeah, it was totally inappropriate for me to say it then. Yeah, it was totally embarrassing, but I think it's fucking awesome. What a great filter. If he was the wrong person for me, that would be the perfect excuse for him to leave. And he was like, man, you're a unicorn and I love you. So I think I've got a good one, right? So like, you're never too much. How you feel is never bad. Like, own it. Doesn't matter how they respond. If they don't respond in the right way, they're just not your people. So anyway, bye. I'm going to go. Have a good night, no matter where you are. Lots of love. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye.